Hey guys, welcome to episode 15 of Operation PlayStation. I'm one of your hosts, Dash, along with my co-host, Mr. Paul James. What's going on, Patch?
We're all... This whole state's fucked. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? Like, we're getting by. So, that's about it.
Well, you're in stage 3. We had to put up with stage 3 for a couple of weeks, and they were like, stage 3 for 6 weeks. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And then 3 weeks into stage 3, no, stage 4 for another 6 weeks, and it's like,
Yeah, shit's fucked. We need to up the ante.
Reset the timer. So we're in a very weird predicament where we can't leave the house in like 7 minutes from when we're recording this, which is 8 p.m. After 8 p.m, no leaving the house. And
yet plenty of people still try.
And don't wear masks, morons.
Yeah.
So
look, I'm just looking forward to the fact that this 6 weeks ends and then we've got a baby due about a week after. So
yeah.
And I've got to pile into the city for that. So that'll be fun.
Guys, if you didn't know, this is Operation PlayStation, Dashgamer.com's dedicated PlayStation podcast where we dive deep and dirty and discover what the latest and greatest PlayStation have to offer, including next-gen gaming. If you like what you hear today, make sure that you follow us over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. Give us those cheeky, here we go, Paul, 5-star ratings. They surely help us out.
Just had to limber them up first, just to make sure they were ready to go for the big 5.
And also catch us over on Dashgamer.com and on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. That surely helps us out. Paul, what is the housekeeping? Give us what you've got.
Look, things have been a little bit quieter on my end, but of course Dev Diary keeps rolling along. So the most recent episode features Liz Fiacco. She's currently working on Kena Bridge of Spirits. So one of the games that was revealed at the PS5 event a few... Geez, it feels like forever ago now. But what was it, about a month and a half? 2 months?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, it's a long time. This has been one hell of a year. But she's also responsible for The Last of Us Part 2. She's worked on Uncharted 4 and a whole bunch of other really cool things as well with Obsidian back in the day, but we don't talk about them because this is a PlayStation show and fuck them. They picked their side.
Whoa.
No, Obsidian does good shit and so did she. So she's the most recent guest, but we also have a new guest, which by the time this podcast goes live, it's been revealed to the world that Ren Breyer is going to be on it, who is responsible for... She's local talent, been working with Half Brick over the years, so she was on Fruit Ninja and Jetpack Joyride, and most recently she's with Witchbeam working on Unpacking, which is a very zen sort of local title where you're basically just unpacking your house, which there's far more to it than what it seems, but it's, I guess best comparison for people might be the likes of it's just completely escaped me. The mobile game, Ken Wong and the team made it big in mobile. Yeah,
I can't remember now either.
I've just gone completely blank on it, so I desperately try and think of it. But that's, I guess, a really good parallel in terms of the sort of storytelling they're going for there. Yeah. Florence is what I was looking for.
Oh, Florence, yes.
So a lot of parallels in terms of that, but then there's a few more systems actually going on in terms of just building the house, designing it your own way, kind of helping graft these personalities as well whilst injecting a little bit of your own. And I was really interested to kind of understand how that project even comes about, because it's a very abstract sort of idea, so that was a good little deep dive as well. Outside of that usual Player 2 content, so we've got patched episodes, we've got Player 2 plays, and myself and Matt Hewson did a preview of Marvel's Avengers, because we were playing in the private media beta before the public one opened, and look, I know you and I have differ a little bit on the game. I'm not going to sit back and say it's amazing, but it was good fun. So, and I think it's probably down to the lens that people come at the game through. But we'll talk more about that game a little bit later on anyway.
Yes, definitely. For Dashgamer.com, like you mentioned, it's been a bit of a light week, but I think it's also been mainly because there's been some stuff that's happened on my end personally, but it's also because I actually built a new PC rig as well that we're using to record this tonight, and I'll be using to render the show and everything else. Thank God I needed an upgrade, but and the other reason I bought it was because Horizon Zero Dawn PC review is now live on the website. We would love for you guys to go check that one out.
He built a brand new PC for one game that you can already get on the PS4.
Correct, exactly.
That's commitment.
Lie, but I did build it specifically for like production and stuff. But Horizon was part of the reason. I'm not gonna lie. Dash Gamer podcast episode 15 is now live. Our Skater XL review, thanks to the kind folk over at 5 Star Games, is now live. By the way, the Horizon Zero Dawn PC review, thanks to PlayStation Australia for providing a PC review code. What the fuck?
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah. An anime analysis for 5-4 Season 2 is out right now, as well as...
Nerd.
Shut up. An anime analysis for Sword Art Online Alicization, thanks to the kind folk over at Man Australia providing a copy for me to review on that. That'll be live.
What was that last word? What was that last word?
Alicization. Yeah, it's
a real word or is it a weeby word?
It's a weeby word.
Okay,
it's not real. But once it'll be live as soon as this podcast goes out. So make sure you guys check out our content. But yeah, once again, pretty light on our neck of the woods this week because it's just, like I said, it's just one of those things. Oh, and I think I mentioned the Dutch Gamer playlist. Make sure you check that out as well. I was playing music. I was blasting music while I was making the PC, and I was like, man, there's a lot of high school music in this, and that was quite an interesting return to form on that one. So yeah,
that's always good to go back.
I love listening to high school music, man. It's the best. Padge, that's it for housekeeping. Let's jump into the news. All right, Padge, the first bit of news tonight comes by way of Jordan Serrani over at IGN, who says PlayStation State of Play August 2020, every game announced and revealed. On Thursday, Sony aired an all-new PlayStation State of Play, highlighting PS4 and PSVR games, with a few updates on previously announced PlayStation 5 titles. Below is our complete recap on everything that was shown. So there were quite a few things, but I think the highlight of the entire State of Play was Crash Bandicoot 4, because that's pretty much what everybody keeps talking about.
I guess it's one of the highest profile games. Before we dive into all the content, so where were your expectations going into this?
Low.
Okay, low, good. I mean, that's what PlayStation was trying to do beforehand anyway. They were really trying to set the expectations low. So that's right. It was just, I think it's a good lens to look through when we talk about this. So
yeah, look, it's good to kind of, calm expectations heading into something that, they're not going to promise. Look, they said it themselves on Twitter. They were like, no PlayStation 5 news. You're not coming here for PS5 news. You're coming here for just some of the latest that you're seeing as we head to the precipice of the penultimate. We're in the penultimate season of our current generation. This is it. And we're about to have the last batch of games come out before PlayStation 5 hits shelves.
And look, there was a few PS5 games in there, but they were third-party ones, and they weren't. They were very clear. It's like, this is not the big tentpole stuff that we've been promoting. So don't expect Spider-Man, don't expect Horizon, don't expect Kana or any of those sorts of games. So I felt a bit like you. Came in, expectations were low. I think maybe I was. We were chatting a little bit beforehand. My expectations maybe a smidge higher than yours, but only I think because I maybe cast a wider net in terms of what it could capture. Yeah. But yeah,
what do you think of the overall presentation, though?
Oh, pretty happy.
Okay.
There was plenty of games there for me. There was a few that weren't, and we'll get to bug snacks, and I'd rather not talk about it. But like there's plenty of games in there that I do like the look of, and some just surprises that, though I may not go on to play, I thought were really quite cool little surprises as well. But we'll dive into those as they come up.
One surprise I've got to say that I found that they didn't announce here was that Fall Guys was coming to PlayStation 5 because of the amount of hype that's behind this title right now. I would have expected them to be like, hey guys, I know we know that Fall Guys is coming, and we know you're excited, but also be excited because it's coming to PS5 as well. But I think that what they've done is waited on that, because there is going to be an announcement. There's an announcement imminent that Fall Guys will make its way to PlayStation 5. There's no doubt.
I mean, backwards compatible, so it'll happen.
Well, yeah, but you take that into account, but I can also see them saying, no, there's going to be a proper PS5 version that'll come out optimized for PlayStation 5, so just to let you guys know, while it is backwards compatible, you'll be able to play this. It'll be optimized properly for PlayStation 5. So, but look, my major... I'll go through some of them. Crash Bandicoot 4, a new mode, playable character announced. Obviously, they were talking... Toys for Bubble mainly showing off some of the new features that were available that, like, they've kind of evolved Crash now. It's not totally the exact same experience you would have seen in, like, the Insane Trilogy. We're getting some new features and a
which
new way
needed to happen.
Well, yeah, it's a new way to play Crash. It's not necessarily going to be, here it is, the corridor scheme of it, and, while it is that, there is a lot more to it.
Yeah, they're not completely ripping that up,
No.
But they're like you've got your corridor, and then there's a few branches and those sorts of things. They're just let's call it wide linear Naughty Dog style. Like there's degrees of that involved, and then there's some cool quality of life things, or the different filters and those sort of things, different characters that we're getting to play. Like that's all nice. It's still Crash at its core, with a few extra accoutrements just to tickle a few people's pickles.
Good word. I was going to say, are you excited for this?
Look, I am now, because I never... It was one of those things that people would regularly criticise me for. I hadn't played Crash until the Insane Trilogy came out.
Yep.
Then I dominated it on the Pop C stream. Put that in Native Forest and everyone was saying, oh my god, it's so hard. Put it to the sword, first go. But look, I'm pretty keen on it.
All right, cool.
The fact that it's coming out $100 Australian does...
Irk me a little bit.
Yep. But they are trying to do their best to justify the cost. We're adding this and we're doing this and we're doing this. This is not just, Crash 4 that's basically the same as what we got in the Insane Trilogy. We are doing extra to justify the cost. But
do you think that they're overly promising though? Because the gameplay loop is antiquated in a way.
Oh, for sure. But it's okay though, because people are loving that nostalgia hit anyway. And there is a place for that sort of thing anyway. Not necessarily Crash, but there's a whole bunch of little pockets where people go for certain really nostalgic experiences. We see it with a lot of Kickstarter titles these days. We spoke about on the last episode with the Suikoden-inspired title. Like, people are happy to go back to these little things if they're hitting the right beats, they've got the right characters, they've got the right tone, maybe the right people are involved. And that's what we're getting here with Crash. It's just that Crash's niche is significantly larger than all those other ones. Like, this game will still sell millions and millions of copies and be very popular in spite of the fact that it's not progressing anything forward at all.
I agree.
Presumably.
Also announced Hitman Trilogy will be playable on PSVR. I know that you love your VR, Padge. I'm still kind of like, VR.
Yeah, but I'm not a Hitman guy, but this is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite an interesting display of how to play VR. I'm actually intrigued on how they actually were able to get this approved, because the thought of actually playing as a Hitman, in VR is kind of a bit questionable, because I
mean, Blood and Truth does a lot of that sort of stuff in different ways as well. I think we're probably over that hump, largely in part with that game, but we see a little bit with Half-Life Alyx and those sort of things too. First-person violence, I know that Hitman is a bit different in that we can get so up close and basically strangle someone.
Yeah.
So it is slightly different in that degree, but we've been exposed to that sort of level of violence now in VR. And those that will play the game have probably experienced those previous titles already, and they know what they're in for.
Yeah, exactly.
Hitman's not an unknown commodity in any way. So
I've got to say though, Hitman has never been known for its graphical fidelity, that's for sure. But this is probably the best looking game I've seen on VR so far.
I'll wait and see.
Well,
just because it's a trailer.
Well, hold on a second. Let's compare to... Well, they're showing actual footage of the game. And if you really kind of think about it, because the last real major game that has been released on VR was Iron Man, and that game looked like hot garbage.
Yeah, look, maybe it is because... And they're not being subtle about the fact that this is a PS5 thing that'll support your old PS4 VR system. Maybe they're able to do that because, previously, I'm sure, without knowing too much about how the VR tech actually works on the back end, you've got your processing box for the VR unit, and that's kind of bolstering what the console itself can do.
Yeah.
I guess you've got a similar sort of deal here, only that the console itself is significantly more powerful than what we're currently using. So just by sheer weight of kind of brute force, I guess, they're just going, we can handle this stuff. Sure, you're going to get that screen door effect. You're going to get the limitations from the headset itself. But in terms of what we can output to you now, it'll be significantly higher just because the console can do so much more.
Yeah, I agree. Another one, Braid Anniversary Edition announced an upgraded version of Braid, the acclaimed 2008 puzzle platform, will be released for PS4 and PS5 in early 2021. The new edition has been, quote, hand repainted for modern high resolutions with 9 pixels to every one in the original. It also features new animations, improved sound and music, and hours of developer commentary. I remember this title from when it was first released. I never played it. Did you?
I played a little bit of it and I just never came back to it. Not because I didn't like it. I just, I don't know. I didn't play it at launch because I wasn't a big Xbox guy.
Yeah.
Still not, I guess. I'm on a PlayStation show.
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy it. I just needed to get back to it and I never did. So this will be one of those good opportunities, I think, to go and kind of tick something off that I really should have a long time ago.
It looks fantastic, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, stunning.
Yeah, like games like this, usually platformers and all, like platformers with an aesthetic enhancement to it, that enriches the entire experience, I'm all for. And this, obviously, remastering something that would obviously be considered a classic now, looks phenomenal. So I definitely think that I'll be jumping into this one when it does come out. I think it has some inspiration, especially some mechanical inspiration from like games such as Super Mario World that I can see. So yeah, definitely interested. I'll definitely check that out. Spelunky 2 was also announced. The long-awaited Spelunky 2 is coming to PS4 on September 15th. Will you be picking it up, Badge?
Nah. And that's like, I understand that Spelunky is a very popular game. It's very well regarded, and I respect it for what it is, but it's just not a game for me. So,
yeah.
So I'll give it a miss. Well, presumably, who knows? Maybe it turns out to be exceptional and actually wins me over. But I'm going into it thinking that I'm not going to be into this game and that I'll probably pass.
I might actually pick it up to review because I really enjoyed the first one, and I think that the second one really has a lot going for it. So I'm definitely interested. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Vader Immortal PSVR release date announced as well. So Vader Immortal is coming to PSVR on August 25th. Sony announced during a State of Play broadcast. The canon of Star Wars Adventure was previously exclusive to Oculus. I don't care, but go on, Padge.
No, I mean, not a lot more needs to be said than what's in the article there. I mean, it was very well regarded when it first came out. I haven't heard as much as the subsequent episodes came out, but I know the first one was extremely well regarded. I love me some Star Wars. I like good Star Wars, and it sounds like that's what I'm getting, and I don't have to wait for subsequent episodes. I get them all together, so that's awesome.
You say you like good Star Wars. Let's be honest here. There hasn't been a good Star Wars game since, the Nintendo 64 racer.
You are so unbelievably in the minority when it comes to thoughts on Jedi Fallen Order.
Jedi Fallen Order was hot garbage, okay? And there's a lot of people who will agree with me on that. It was a buggy mess.
Not as many as you think.
No.
But that's one of our points of difference that...
Sure. It was a hot garbage, buggy mess, and you can't keep arguing that fact. I don't know how you like that game.
I don't know, me and the critical masses and the overwhelming
there was no
internet
there was no positive
well.
support for it. You're the only person out of 100, okay? It's 1 out of 100, and you're that one.
If you are watching and or listening to the show right now, please reach out to Dash in the comments on YouTube or tweet at both of us so that I can see it and rub his nose in it as well.
Yeah, it was garbage.
Because please, there's lots of you out there that are with me here, and please don't forget to make that tweet. Do it right now. Pause this show.
Control.
Yep. Cool. You paused. Fantastic. Tweet at Dash Gamers at Paul James Games. Fuck you, Dash.
Remedy.
The show's awesome. The game's awesome.
Released the trailer for Control or Expansion 2. This looks great.
Yeah.
Look, Control was... We were... a couple of years ago, about a year ago or so, we did our review on Control and Dash Culture, and we thought there was a bit of a mixed reception there, but I gotta say that since then, Control has really, really improved, and I love it. Like, I was a bit mixed on it because I remember with Remedy's what was it called there? Quantum Break.
Yes, Quantum Break, Alan Wake before that.
Yeah, it was a bit I didn't like Quantum Break. I thought that, once again, Xbox, it felt very Xboxy, like it just didn't feel polished. And then with Control, I kind of had that same feeling. I was like, oh man, not Quantum Break all over again. But as I progressed further into the title, I was like, oh, hold on a second. This is actually getting interesting now. And I'm liking what I'm playing.
The only real issues I had with that game was when you paused it. And if you'd unpause, if you're playing on a console, it wasn't an issue if you had a high-end PC, but there'd be a lot of chop in that probably first 5 seconds, maybe after you unpaused.
Well, we got it early, and it was pre-patched. Now they've released quite a few patches for it, and the game is, like, if anything, plays phenomenally. Have you played it since then?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit late to the party. I played it about the end of the year last year.
Yeah.
So a lot of the patches had already rolled out at that point. And then I came back to it for the first slice of DLC.
Yeah.
So I'm super keen on this. I love Alan Wake as well. So the fact that this is basically a crossover of these two universes as well, that just gets that gets my juices going.
Yeah, I agree with you. Temtem is coming to PS5. There was a lot of hype behind this game because it was a Pokemon ripoff. For people who like their Pokemon, I guess this is okay news. It's just Pokemon with non-licensed Pokemon attached to it.
Yeah, the names of them aren't fantastic from what I've seen over the journey, but the thing that kind of, as much as I would love to see a Pokemon like on a PlayStation console, now we do have that in the form of Ni no Kuni, for example, so please go and get that on PS4. It's an awesome title.
Yes.
But the thing that kind of, and funnily enough, I'm going to talk a bit more about it later in the show.
Yes.
But the thing that kind of bothered me about this game when it first came out is that, not that it was a bad game, because from all reports, people were loving it.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was still so early in development, that there's literally regions of the map where you'd start to head out there and there's a sign saying, we're still working on this, come and explore later. I'm like, you haven't given people all that much here. Now, what state is this game going to be in by the time it comes to PS5? Or is it going to be content complete? Like, is the PS5 launch going to be in sync with the final 1.0 version on PC?
Yeah.
That's kind of my big question mark on that. And from all the conversation I'd heard about that PC build when it came out earlier this year, late last year, whenever it was, I've lost track of time now. It's flat circle.
Yeah.
And
it really is.
It just seemed like it was still quite a long way away in terms of that final, okay, here's the world as we envisaged it. So
yeah,
maybe they've staffed up because it was so popular. Maybe, I mean, that might be the thing that's really going to help them here, is the fact that they had the core foundations done and now they just add more people to the team because it was really successful on PC.
Yeah, I agree. Hood Outlaws and Legends announced for PS5. Cool. Not something that I personally would get into. What do you think?
I liked the look at first until I realised that, and actually was really high on it afterwards, and then discovered after the fact, and this is probably because it was a CG trailer, discovered after the fact it was a multiplayer game, and like, nah, get out of here.
Yeah, not for me.
Tone changed immediately, so
I
just don't have time for that.
Yeah, according to developers Sumo Newcastle, it's a dark and gritty reimagining of the Robin Hood legend. Okay.
It could be cool. As a single player game. Multiplayer, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, good on them. Whatever. New trailers for and gameplay for Bugsnax, Godfall, and more. I don't care about Bugsnax. I really like Bugsnax is overkill now. I'm overhearing about it. Really don't care.
Yeah. People banging on about it all the time. Like, what outside of supposedly catchy, and that's kind of what's annoying me about it. It's not necessarily that the game's bad. In fact, the game could be great, and I could actually quite like it. But it's what the internet has done with the game up to this point that is really infuriating me.
Yeah.
And why it's kind of driving me away from the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like the only way that I play this game is if I end up with a review code, and that forces my hand a little bit. Otherwise, I just don't want to go near it.
I'm not even gonna bother. And I know that the person that you would probably have to go to for that would be Jen, as in Kind of Funny Jen. But I'm not.
Yep.
I personally would not want to. So no thanks. It's just it's not appealing.
I can be won over. It's just, again, it's what the internet has done with the game that's bothering me. It's really not the fault of the developers in any way, shape, or form.
It's a meme.
Yeah, and so I think I'd need to see just someone just doing a let's play and just let me just see, or just, something official through the company. Let me just see 20 minutes of this game in action. Does that speak to me? Yes or no? And if it does, great. I'm back on board, and I can kind of just segment off the internet bullshit and the game and be able to isolate those things and think about it properly. But at the moment, those two are just smashing together, and it's completely colouring my opinion of the game.
Yeah, so I agree. The Godfall trailer showed off some gameplay. What did you think of this? I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was great too.
Yeah.
I know there's some people that are a little bit down on the game, not necessarily even because the game's bad in any way. It's just I don't think people are really giving it a go at all.
Yeah.
They did have an issue, I think, when it came to the initial PS5 State of Play, where the trailer they showed tonally didn't match the action. Remember, they went with the real dubsteppy style thing.
Yeah, that was weird.
The game was this, like, it didn't make any sense and really confused myself and I think a lot of other people. Yep. So this showcase was exactly what I need to see.
Yep.
Makes me think of Darksiders.
Yes, definitely.
So it's not necessarily... Well, I'd love for it to be this really AAA style version of Darksiders. Darksiders, as much as I love it, it's kind of your AA...
Dark Souls.
AA and a half sort of thing, where it really wants to be God of War or Zelda, but it's just not quite there. Outside Darksiders 2.
Yeah.
But I feel like this has a chance. And what I saw from that combat really filled me with hope. Like, okay, there's lots of diversity here. The looting part, I am a sucker for going around and looting chests and all those sorts of things, as well as fantasy settings. Stylistically, it looks cool. There's a lot here that I like about the game.
Do you think? Do you think it has potential to be a franchise?
The fact that it is a launch game gives it every chance, because it may be a shit game, like Knack was, and look what happened to Knack. It's still got a sequel.
Yeah, well, it's Knack.
I know, and like that,
but that plays off the meme.
Get memed. Yeah, that plays off the meme, but at the same time, the meme did still take a little while to kick in. Like if Knack came out and was exceptional, unlikely, but if it was exceptional, it would have, the memes probably wouldn't have been there in the same way, because people are actually they're fussing more about the fact that the game's awesome as opposed to making jokes about it at its expense. This won't have that luxury. It's just going to ride the wave of, we're a launch title, we're exclusive, we're on the PlayStation 5, come and buy me. And the people are going to be starved of a lot of options on the platform at first, certainly big AAA style ones anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it could do well sales wise, and that gives it every chance of being a sequel. And let's be real, they're published by Gearbox, so that gives them a chance too.
Yeah. Unless Randy Pitchford fucks that up by saying something stupid.
Well, he could. But I do think, though, his team, given that these guys are trying to pursue, and remember, this isn't developed by Gearbox, it's just published by them.
Yeah.
The fact that they are looking to kind of explore that loot side of it and that cycle that we go through, the fact that they are being published by a team who basically has buttered their bread on that in the last 10 years with Borderlands.
Yeah.
There's a lot of expertise that they can probably share with these guys, even though it's not a shooter, how that loop plays out, the balancing act, all those sort of things. I'm sure they've got a lot of really valuable advice they can provide counterplay. So I'm really hopeful.
Yeah, same here. The Pathless got some gameplay footage as well. This one looks magical, man.
Yeah, I'm keen. Giant Squid.
Sorry, was that?
That was Giant Squid. So
Giant
the team
Squid,
that did Abzu. So this is very different to Abzu.
Aesthetically stunning. I think its presentation is going to be what sells this. There's a little bit of gameplay that I'm kind of a little concerned with. I don't know. Its gameplay looks... From when I initially saw it, I thought it's a little open for my liking, but then its expeditious pacing kind of made me rethink it. And, I think it's going to be one of those games that have certainly a niche market towards. I don't think it's going to be a massive seller, but I think it's definitely going to be one that people are going to enjoy just kind of chilling with and exploring.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that.
Yep.
I'm really, really keen.
Yeah, same. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. Next up, Hadge, they had what was it? Oh, the Aeon Must Die. Oh, yeah.
Which... there's a whole barrel of controversy around that game. I'm still trying to... Oh, yeah, because apparently the game's basically straight up stolen. Like, the developers got booted off the team.
What? Okay, please enlighten me. I don't know that.
I still don't know all the details. I've been meaning to kind of do a bit of digging myself. But basically, the trailer went up, and before the live stream was even done, there was already stuff being shared on a Dropbox from all these ex-developers that were working on the game that were basically treated horribly and either left or got booted out, maybe because they kicked up a stink about how they were being treated. So some other teams kind of picked this up as a result and finishing it off. And look, it could end up being an awesome game, but there's a hell of a story brewing around that game. So go look it up if you're interested.
Genshin Impact gameplay trailer. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, looks alright.
Look, it's a bit generic in some ways, but I like that Breath of the Wild sort of visual style, as long as it doesn't play like Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild's kind of shit.
Jesus Christ almighty.
It is, like, I love Zelda. I don't love Breath of the Wild.
So what, it looks like, like this...
Visually, it's Breath of the Wild, that artistic style, I adore it. But it looks like it plays more like a traditional, well, not ultra traditional, but kind of more action RPG as opposed to this just very exploratory, airy-fairy, nothing thing that Zelda became.
I think it's great. I think it looks aesthetically beautiful.
No, I'm keen.
I think that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it looks so much like Breath of the Wild. Yeah, some territory does, but I think that's just design, not... I think there is a wash over its aesthetics. And that comes into more or less its visual fidelity, and it's also like some of the lighting effects that they've overlaid the entire presentation with. I don't think that... I think there are a lot of people being harsh towards it because of the whole outrage that came out on it.
Oh yeah, and look, there's people kicking up a stink because it's a Chinese developed game and Tencent is involved and they're trying to take over and all that sort of rubbish. It's stupid, but people are looking for an opportunity to kick this thing around, but it's looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, I want to play it. I'm going to be honest with you, I want to play it. I think I skipped one. I know Mutation trailer.
Come on, with that Alicization or whatever the hell you said before, you should be able to say this shit.
Anno Mutationum.
But also, Anno, isn't that a Ubisoft franchise? So
I thought it was too.
Ubi should be going after these guys.
But it's a name that's already been... it's a name that's taken by another video game franchise.
A very big publisher.
Yeah.
Not a very big franchise, but a very big publisher.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's part of a franchise by a big publisher, I should say. So, this confused me when it came up.
Doesn't do anything for me anyway. So
it looks alright.
I just kind of blinked and missed.
Weird game for me, man. I like the cyberpunk aesthetic, so... I know it's going to be like a simple platformer, but... I can understand why it wouldn't do anything for you. It looks kind of simple in some sort of circumstances, but we'll see. There's going to be...
And you're a simple guy.
I am a simple guy, thanks, man. The Pedestrian also got a gameplay trailer. What do you think of this?
It's really cool. Okay. I don't know if I'll play it. I'm not the biggest puzzle guy, and that's kind of why I fell off Braid even in the end, because I'm just not a big puzzle game guy.
Yeah.
But I like the style of it. I like what they're going for. Hopefully it's kind of short, sharp. The puzzles are accessible enough that it doesn't just give me the shits and force my hand to turn it off. Because in terms of what it looks like it's aspiring to, I quite like that.
Okay, fair enough. And Auto Chess got a trailer as well. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
Padge, following up, the next story comes by way of Jeremy Winslow over at GameSpot, who says, and why is this coming up now and not showing? There we go. Who says Marvel's Avengers will add Spider-Man as a PS4 and PS5 exclusive character. Crystal Dynamics has confirmed that Spider-Man will join Marvel Avengers roster. Spidey senses tingling. Developer Crystal Dynamics has confirmed that Spider-Man will join the Marvel Avengers roster as a free DLC character despite not appearing in any promotional material before. The character will be released as post-launch DLC, and the studio also confirmed that the Web Slinger will be exclusive to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. If you're an Xbox or PC owner, you'll be left out of the web slinging fun, unfortunately. Crystal Dynamics has since clarified that Spider-Man will be the only console-exclusive character, so don't expect much on Xbox. PlayStation players will also get a series of cosmetic bonuses and getting early access to some character costumes when new members of the Avengers join the game. Paul, I discussed this with the House of Mario on the Dash Gamer podcast. Their take on it, and obviously with the boys being Nintendo fans,
they don't have a horse in this race anyway, you suckers.
Well, look, Drew's still a PlayStation fan.
He's a PlayStation guy. And Bryce doesn't mind his Xbox either.
Correct. So, this is one of those things where they're a little frustrated with the fact that, Sony are still holding on tight to the intellectual property of Spider-Man, and won't let that slide for, other people to, enjoy. I can understand there is some frustration, and I can understand some people trying to defend Sony's rights in owning the intellectual property. But at the same time, I could see this to Sony's advantage in actually saying, you want Spider-Man? Pay for it. And I'm sure that other companies out there would be more than happy to say, yeah, no problem. What are your thoughts?
I am kind of one of those defenders in part of Sony here. Mm-hmm. They own Spidey in the film sense. They don't technically own him in terms of games or anything else.
Yep.
So they've had to strike a deal to make this happen in the first place. But what I would have liked, actually, rather than it be exclusive to PlayStation, is for them to go, okay, so we want to work with you guys here. It needs to be our Spider-Man from Marvel Spider-Man from 2018, the Insomniac developed one. You can put that Spidey on PlayStation, but on Xbox, but that's all they're going to get.
Yeah.
So if they want more of that Spider-Man, they have to come to us. They have to come and play. It sounds like Miles Morales is going to come with a bundled version of a remastered version of the PS4 game anyway. Mm. If they want to deal with that character in any other way, shape, or form, they have to come to us. It just kind of whets their appetite a little bit and then tempts them across. It could in both aspects, the way what they've ultimately done and what I've just suggested there, both of them are just marketing techniques.
Mm.
And that's totally how they've looked at it. This is not we're gonna we're not trying to hold things off Xbox. We're not trying to be a dick. We're doing business here.
Yep.
We want people to come and play on our PlayStation platform. Mm. And one of the best ways to get people in the door is associate characters and IPs with our platform.
Well,
that's why so many people stuck with PlayStation for the longest time, because if they were JRPG fans, they knew they'd have to go play on PlayStation. Well, Xbox tried and failed in that regard.
Yeah,
they've lent in characters.
Well, the main reason that it appears on Sony is because Sony already own the intellectual property for film rights, and they also, with the release of Insomniac Spider-Man, kind of ties in with that. But at the same time, we've also got things like books and everything, but they're prominently published by Disney now. And if anything, people should be mad at Disney for these kind of, agreements and all that kind of stuff. This is not something that Sony kind of were like, oh yeah, like this and that. And for sure, the developers would have turned around and been like, how would you feel about having Spider-Man as an exclusive on your console? Because obviously, you guys would probably have, a prominent market for it, while this is a cash thing. Yeah. This is a money thing. And Sony would have been like, here's the money. At the same time, Disney could have approached Microsoft and said the same thing, and Microsoft would have been like, here's the money. They decided that where's the market right now? PlayStation. So where are we going to put it? PlayStation.
Yeah. It's wise of PlayStation, though. I mean, before we knew about Spider-Man, we already knew there was this marketing, some degree of a partnership between the two companies anyway. This had been established through other showcases earlier on. Even the Square Enix presentation at E3 last year, where they said that we're going to be doing stuff with PlayStation. We're working with PlayStation here, thanks to our partners at PlayStation. Mm. We didn't know it was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But the writing was on the wall. There was stuff going on here.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I cycle back to my point from before. It's incredibly smart of PlayStation to get people to associate big IP. So whether it's their own exclusive characters, Aloy, Nathan Drake, Joel and Ellie, Kratos, etc., or pull on the right strings, bring in the right third parties, those sorts of things to get your franchise associated with PlayStation. And there's probably no bigger brand in the world right now than what Marvel is putting out there. So you've got Spider-Man already. Now let's try and pull in the Avengers. You've basically won. Now, you haven't technically pulled in the Avengers, but because of Spidey, that big tipping point, you're going to get a lot of people that were maybe on the fence. The likes of you or I that own both consoles, they're going to go, well, I'll get it on PlayStation because now I can play as Spider-Man. And now they've just tilted that little bit towards PlayStation. They're going to stick with that. It's small wins, and they probably didn't have to throw that much money, but we know Square Enix has got a propensity for this sort of shit anyway. They did. Crystal Dynamics' very previous game was Rise of the Tomb Raider, and that was exclusive to Xbox for a year. Square Enix took the money that Xbox was throwing around.
Yeah, exactly. They favor. Look, at the moment they're favoring PlayStation. Let's not kid ourselves.
They're favouring money because Square Enix
of course,
was struggling for a while too.
But if you look at it from an outsider's perspective, for the last year or so, Square Enix has been like PlayStation. It hasn't been like, what have they released on other consoles? Like they haven't really released anything on Xbox. And then when you look at Switch, they've got Dragon Quest 11S, and that's a re-release of a PlayStation.
Yeah,
a PC game.
Dragon Quest is going to come to Xbox at the end of the year via Game Pass.
Right, but now
Nier, they eventually ported across, but that was too late as well. Like
Correct.
The sales for that were basically done already.
It's PlayStation.
Yeah,
man.
the Square Enix, they still, especially their Japanese developed titles, franchises, they've got that buddy relationship. And again, like if you're Marvel sitting here and PlayStation's pitched you this idea, which would have been part of the process, what has PlayStation done to let them down? Or Sony, if you want to get big picture, they came to the table when it came to Spidey in the MCU. When it comes to the game, they trusted Insomniac. They made an exceptional game. They're getting a sequel that's going to be launching this year. There's so much buzz about it. That PlayStation hasn't missed when it comes to how they've used Spider-Man. So there's also probably a few credits in the bank that they could kind of cash in as well.
Padge, the following story comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says The Last of Us 2 trophies tease grounded permadeath modes. The Last of Us 2's trophy list has been updated with 2 new trinkets to unlock, grounded difficulty and permadeath. This suggests that an update is imminent, adding the enhanced difficulty options. The title hasn't been patched since around launch, so Naughty Dog has clearly had this cooking for quite some time. It's worth mentioning that 2 new trophies are separate from the main list, so you won't need to complete the game on its hardest difficulty in order to unlock the platinum. We suspect more information will be revealed in the near future. A permadeath feature on The Last of Us. That's an interesting one. That's intriguing.
Can we dive into spoilers? You've had your pause. Joel's got permadeath already, guys. Don't worry about it.
Oh my god.
And spoilers.
Oh, shit. I don't know if I can include that.
I gave them time.
That's too much information. People haven't played it, Padge.
Put a little timestamp in the thing.
What are your thoughts on these difficulty options?
I mean, great. Yeah. I'm not going to go for them. Oh? Permadeath, that intimidates me. Grounded was already unbelievably hard.
Yeah.
In the first game, it's probably even harder here. No thanks. It's great that the game's still getting support, and it doesn't surprise me because we obviously saw the equivalent recently with the lethal difficulty added to Ghost.
Yep.
Like this is something that PlayStation's been doing, and actually across the board they've been a lot better at this. Remember, we got New Game Plus for God of War after a while.
Yeah.
They've got these plans that are probably being executed or implemented probably the last 2 to 3 months of development. They go, okay, now that we've got the core thing, let's splinter a few people off and start developing this part of the game that then launches a month or 2 after the fact and gives the game a second wind.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's great.
I think it's great too. It prolongs the title's legacy as well, and if anything, gives it a little bit of a boost that it doesn't need. But
it does. It's dropped out of the top 10 in sales in the UK.
Oh yeah, you're right. It has too.
I just saw that earlier today. Which, I mean, look, the sales were obviously going to be front loaded with that game,
but that's the thing. I think everybody's just bought it.
Yeah, but I do. Yeah, I'd be curious to know. We haven't seen the actual numbers yet. I'd be curious to kind of know what the controversies and the complaints and all the bullshit on the internet has kind of done to that game.
We know that most of them are, we know why. A lot of people are complaining. Like one of them was just mentioned, and the other thing is, I don't want to play as a girl. So shut the fuck up, would you? Just play it. It's a great game. Padge, the following story comes by way of Player 2.
This guy.
This one comes from Paul James of Player 2.
Good guy. I've heard good things.
Never heard of him. Rocksteady's
fucking clown.
New project revealed at last. Paul says, Rocksteady's new project revealed at last. Again. Rumors and speculation about the future of Rocksteady Studios have been mounting in the years following the release of their most recent title, Batman Arkham VR. But in a tweet designed to promote the upcoming DC fandom event on August 22nd, the developer has pulled back the curtain on their newest title, a Suicide Squad game. This confirms a host of rumors, and by the way, there's a picture of Spider-Man with a Suicide Squad target on his head.
Superman.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, you said Spider-Man.
No, I didn't. Did I? Okay, sorry, Superman. There is a picture of Superman with a Suicide Squad target on his head. This confirms a host of rumors and speculation that came to a head in June when the domains SuicideSquadGame.com and SuicideSquadKillTheJusticeLeague.com were registered and quickly discovered by eagle-eyed fans on Reset Era. Now with this official confirmation, it makes the title Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League seem all the more likely. Now, if only WB Montreal would announce their long-rumored Batman game,
Purportedly,
called Batman Gotham Knights, and the circle can finally be complete. I don't know who this author is, but he doesn't know what the fuck he's writing. Paul, give me your thoughts.
Look, I mean, it's great news. It's good to see Rocksteady finally announce what their next game is.
Yeah.
Would I have liked it to be this way? No.
Yeah, I know you were a bit harsh on it, yeah.
And that's only because with what they've achieved since, was it 2007 when Arkham Asylum came out?
Yep.
Definitely in that ballpark.
Yep.
With what they've achieved as a developer in those years, they probably deserve a bigger platform than just a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
And they are getting one in the form of DC Fandom, but I think barely anyone would have cared about DC Fandom within the gaming sphere until this tweet came along. We've made our assumptions, but I think there'd be a lot of us, and I was in this boat. We're like, okay, I reckon we're going to get WB Montreal's, and I reckon we're going to get Rocksteady's games, but I'm not going to tune in for this thing because I don't know what the hell's happening, when it's going to happen. You know, I'm not going to waste my time with that. I'll just wait until the trailer popped up in my YouTube feed, or I get sent a press release, or whatever the case might be.
2009, by the way.
2009.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because then City was 11. Yeah, right.
Correct.
So I just feel like they deserve better than that. And in the end, they've basically used this as a tool to promote DC Fandom rather than necessarily the game. The game could be fantastic. I hope it's fantastic. They've got a great pedigree.
Yeah.
But it just deserved better. Suicide Squad or not, Batman or not, some random new IP or not, it doesn't matter what the game is. They just deserve better than a tweet.
I personally don't care how they revealed the game. I think we've gotten to a point where people are just sick of hearing about it. I think that they even knew that, like, it was getting to a point where they were like, this is how we're going to do it. We're just going to let people know that we're working on it so that they can shut the fuck up and stop asking us about it. And it's honestly... What?
I was going to say, but could they not have done it? So we had a state of play. Now, admittedly, that might indicate that they're aligned with PlayStation some way. But let's take that factor out of it for a moment.
It's
There's
money,
been a lot
though,
of platforms they could have used. They could have used Jeff Keighley, for example, as well. They get but whatever the thing is.
But they don't. But Padge, they gave us a picture. That means that they don't have anything ready.
No, but they could have done a little, cheeky. Well, they're going to have a trailer of some sort at this thing. Of course they are. So they could have just thrown a little teaser out there, your 10-second one that ends with DC Fandom August 22nd or whatever the case is. Like, even that would have been better than just a tweet. I just feel like it's that way that you close a state of play, for example. So again, try and take the fact that that would indicate that there's a partnership between them out of it for a second.
Talking about partnerships, but
that would have been great.
I believe they're in trouble though. But
go for it.
Other things are suggesting that they may not be. But this story comes by way of James Batchelor over at GamesIndustry.biz, who says Warner Brothers restructure suggests games division is no longer for sale. Internal message reaffirms interactive segment will continue, quote, engaging fans with our brands and franchises through games. Plans to sell off the interactive entertainment division of Warner Brothers have been abandoned, according to internal communication. A message sent by Warner Brothers Media City CEO Jason Killer to all employees on Friday detailed organizational changes that may seem to confirm that video games remains a key pillar of the business. In the message, which has since been posted to Warner Media's press site, Killer notes to the Warner Brothers Interactive, quote, remains part of the studios and networks group, end quote, along with other segments of the company. All these are, quote, focused on engaging fans with our brands and franchises through games and other interactive experience, end quote, Killer wrote. The message follows reports in June that Warner partner AT&T was in talks to sell Warner Brothers Interactive, with the deals set to be around $4 billion USD. The games division includes
unbelievable amount of money.
Yeah, it includes a number of studios such as Rocksteady, TT Games, NetherRealm Studios, Monolith, Avalanche, plus WB Games studios in Boston, Montreal, New York, San Diego, and San Francisco. Potential buyers included Activision Blizzard, Electronic Arts, and Take-Two Interactive. Look,
and Microsoft too. Microsoft have thrown their hat in the ring as well.
Yeah, exactly. So look, even though there is a statement that's been put out there, there has been a shake-up at Warner Media in terms of its corporate structure overall. We're not just talking about like video games. They're having a major shake-up corporate because apparently COVID is affecting them and financially. And even though that this statement has come out to reaffirm, oh, you're safe here, that's bullshit. Because when the hat drops...
It's a short-term one.
Yeah. When the hat drops at the end of it and they have to make cuts, they'll look at that. Like, AT&T will look at that and go, no, fuck them off. Because AT&T have been known to be ruthless corporate. And whether or not they had their CEO come out and go, pat them on the head, stroke them on their back and go, don't worry, it's going to be fine. You're going to be okay. Yeah, I don't trust Warner Media at all.
Again, I think I don't trust AT&T more specifically, and the kind of the puppet strings they're pulling with Warner Media as opposed to anything else.
Yeah.
The fact that they look to put them up for sale in the first place is an incredibly ominous sign, and for them to go, oh no, look, we'll bring you back, probably just tells me that no one was calling their bluff on the prices.
Yeah, no.
Again, and this is only one studio, but seriously, like PlayStation paid $260 million for Insomniac.
Yep.
With all their pedigree and history, which is better than the majority, not necessarily all, but the majority of the studios that are listed here. How could they justify $4 billion? It's not like any buyer instantly gets, doesn't instantly get the rights to Harry Potter, because that's literally owned by Warner Brothers and J.K. Rowling. You don't get the rights to Batman. You would have to then go and license these things, and it would make sense to go do that. But that's another cost coming out of your pocket as well. You're paying $4 billion for the studios
and Mortal
TT,
Kombat,
and Mortal Kombat, Injustice, and what TT does.
Yeah,
it was a ridiculous price to ask in the first place. Now the common consensus is that Insomniac took unders really, and it was mostly just a formality because the love was there already, and Ted Price just got a big payday. I despite the fact that we've got Activision and EA and Take-Two in there, and possibly Microsoft as well, I don't blame any of them for turning around and saying, no, you're asking for too much. Like, that's not enough for us.
Yeah. Do you think that they were just fishing for money? Like, as in, like, so let's throw that figure out there. If anybody actually takes it, why not?
Yeah, that's $4 billion coming in.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know about
I'd still be intimidated. If I was an employee at any of those studios, I'd still be really intimidated by this, especially if I'm at Avalanche. Now, Avalanche are the ones supposedly working on Harry Potter, so you'd like to think there's a degree of safety there. But at the same time, you get a lot of licensed games that basically fit this mold, what's currently being developed there, that tend to fall through at this period of a new generation. Because there's so many changes in technology, costs go up, costs go down. You're not admittedly you're building on on an established IP, but you're starting a new franchise here. That's a dangerous time for any studio. So I worry a little bit for them. Monolith, a little bit in the same boat. Shadow of War wasn't exceptional. In the end, I was a big fan of Shadow of Mordor when it came out, and probably admittedly 2014 was a shit year for games. Yeah. It was probably my game of the year from that year, but Shadow of War just didn't quite hit in the same way. There was a bit too much bloat, and people criticised for all the microtransactions. Like, they're not kicking goals. The only ones that I feel like are safe are probably Rocksteady, TT, because Lego makes money. NetherRealm to an extent. And presumably WB Montreal, but even then, they've been screwed around a lot. Look, one of the things I reckon might have upset Warner Media or AT&T is what had been going on with WB Montreal and Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Do you know much about the background with the whole Suicide Squad thing?
No, please go on.
So, WB Montreal was working on the Suicide, and you might remember there was some leak stuff from way back.
I do remember that,
years and years ago. Because keep in mind, Arkham Origins was their last game. That was 2013.
Which, by the way, before you continue, I'm pretty sure that Superman Suicide Squad poster was leaked years ago.
There was like a character select screen, I think. That was
and it was very similar to that.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought it was actually a Justice League game at the time.
Yeah.
as opposed to Suicide Squad. I'm sure there was a few rumors as well that people maybe suggested it might be that, but Suicide Squad wasn't even what it is these days. As much as that movie's shit, it's raised profile to for the Suicide Squad name.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was in development for a while and they cancelled it, and then Rocksteady started their own afterwards. So what had Rocksteady been doing in those years? And that was about 2018, apparently, from this what the likes of Jason Schreier and a few other investigative journalists have been talking about in the last few days. What was Rocksteady? Yeah, I know. What was Rocksteady doing in those couple of years after Arkham VR? It's not like the full team would have been on that either. They're just twiddling their thumbs for a while there. Same idea with WB Montreal. Like, it's cost them a lot of money up till the point where they stopped working on Suicide Squad and presumably have gone on to work on this Gotham Knights Batman game. Like, they've been bleeding money through those two studios, presumably for quite some time, and nothing's really come of it.
Yeah.
As much as the two final titles might be awesome, it's a lot of wasted money. So I could see why they'd want to.
Yeah.
But the asking price is obscene.
No way. Padge, the following story comes by way of Robert Ramsey over at Push Square, who says, rumour, Mass Effect Trilogy Remaster can be pre-ordered on PS4 at UK retailer with September release date. God, this picture he's using as well.
It's always a good one. I love that photo.
God, wait, what? The long-rumoured Mass Effect Trilogy Remaster can actually be pre-ordered right now? Apparently so. After the remaster was spotted on a game product list, which many initially thought was fake, Reddit users decided to see whether they could place a pre-order at their local branch. As it turns out, they succeeded. That's right, you can pre-purchase the Mass Effect Trilogy Remaster despite the fact that it hasn't even been announced. Reddit user Waymantis writes, quote, naturally, as a UK resident with a game nearby, I thought I'd see if there was any validity.
Naturally, of course.
Of course, yeah. Much to my surprise, after asking at the desk and the attendant checking a store list on a tablet seemingly identical to the one leaked, I was able to pre-order the game, end quote. They go on to provide photographs of the physical receipt as well as a screenshot of the digital receipt. Now, before we all get too carried away, this could all be really weird error on Game's part. But when coupled with all the rumors that surround the supposed remaster, it's starting to seem more and more likely that an announcement is imminent. By the way, the game listing for 29th of September. Padge, I don't care. I think there is a problem. Mass Effect Andromeda was a massive no-no. The last mainline entry of Mass Effect was just god-awful.
Sorry, do you mean Andromeda there, or are you talking about 3?
I'm talking about 3.
Ooh.
I did not like it. 3 was a buggy mess, and the ending to it as well.
I know a lot of people kick up stick about the ending.
Like I defended the ending. I thought it was fine. And there's a video of me back in way when that's privated on a YouTube channel that I can't even get access to, where I basically said I didn't mind the ending, but the game was hot garbo because it was just not well developed. It was optimized to crap, and it felt very antiquated, and it was trying to kind of harness on the pop that was surrounding Uncharted at that time.
See, I didn't take issue with that, so I'm similar to you with the ending.
Yep.
I thought it was okay.
Yep.
I wasn't aggrieved by the whole how it all boiled down to. Yeah, it was a little bit underwhelming as a result, but it didn't really piss me off or anything like that.
Yep.
The gameplay experience, I loved it. I still had a great time with it. The thing that bothered me, and this was peak, 2013?
Yep.
Was that?
I
Holy
think
shit.
so. Hold on.
2012. No, it was 2012. That's all right. No, I corrected myself. It was early 2012. And
March.
This was the peak that period for the second screen experience, and you've got an app that speaks to your game. Remember how you had to, there's galactic readiness and all those sorts of things. Now, admittedly, that was also a factor in Mass Effect 2, but I hated that shit. That was the bit that annoyed me, is you're kind of forcing me to go do something else so I can play the game that I've already paid for, and I want to just play. But you're forcing me to do this other shit on a mobile device that I don't want to engage with. That bothered me.
There's that,
and that had EA written all over it.
There's that popular gif of Shepard where he walks up to the desk and his head just spins 360.
Yeah. There was a couple bugs. I can agree with that.
A couple.
And, well, look, and it was a short turnaround at the end of the day. Mass Effect 2 was January of 2010, and then this was March of 2012. And for a studio making an RPG, 2 years and change is not nearly enough.
It was
time.
rushed, dude. It was rushed to market because they were trying to build up on the hype of... Well, first of all, they had a time limit. Because obviously...
Yeah, set them one.
Next gen was coming, and they needed to get this out early before, the next gen hype. Because this was past the PlayStation... Oh, no, sorry, this was...
No, because this is 2012. They had a year.
Sorry, I was
plus,
thinking 2013 for a second.
Bioshock Infinite, The Last of Us, GTA 5, they were all still more than a year away at this point.
Yeah. They still had some time then to clean this game up, but they still had a time frame set, and that specifically says something already. Like, oh hey, Uncharted came out a couple of months prior in November
of 2011. Yep.
We need to get this out right after Uncharted to keep PlayStation's momentum going, because it was only at PlayStation 3's momentum because this was heavily marketed for PlayStation rather than Xbox at the time.
Oh yeah, because they were partnering with EA. This was the first one that was actually going to be their day and date for PlayStation. So they were trying to get PlayStation gamers on board.
Correct. So that's why this was out. Look, this was rushed because they were trying to build up on that hype. Like Uncharted was the big thing at the time, so they were trying to build on that momentum. And honestly,
deservedly so. Uncharted 3 is the best in the franchise up to that point.
Oh my god! Look, I think if anything, good on them. They want to re-release a remastered. They need to optimize that thing. Like, they need to make sure it is clean for re-release. Because I tell you something, if they re-release it as the exact same experience, they're in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. The thing that kind of raised my eyebrows is like, how's the original game going to hold up? Like,
not well.
It doesn't really. So unless they're going to kind of reinvent some of the mechanics a little bit and bring it more up to speed with Mass Effect 2 and 3, or maybe even Andromeda, because mechanically Andromeda was fine. It was just the visual issues, the other technical issues, the story. There was so many other issues with Andromeda, but the moment-to-moment action was fine.
Yeah, but those kind of titles, they're a release for devotees. Like, they're for fans, established fans of the franchise. So it's not really for, like, somebody who's not interested in it at all. Like, for me...
Yeah, and that's fine.
If I was still a fan of the franchise after the third one, then maybe. But Andromeda killed that. Like, I hated Andromeda. So, I don't know, man. The next story comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says Sony's finally resolved the PS Store's biggest flaw. Now you can buy games that are part of subscriptions. Thank God. Like, that has been one of the biggest bullshits of this entire thing. So
I couldn't understand. Like, I understand obviously the issue that's there and why can't you do. I didn't understand why so many people got upset with it though. Like, I've already got it on Plus, so why do I want to then buy it?
It was one of those things where people, if they didn't want to have Plus after, no. I believe that if you
I know there were some issues with like Plus, now.
Yeah. But I believe if you downloaded it while you had Plus and then your subscription ran out, you couldn't purchase it outside of it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so anyway, the story reads, one of the most embarrassing oversights on the PlayStation Store is that up until very recently, you couldn't purchase a game if you previously claimed it courtesy of PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now. This meant that if you added a title to your library but let your membership lapse, the only way to access is to resubscribe to the service. Yeah, that confirms
There it is. Yeah.
I remember an episode of Beyond with Colin and Greg, and a fan had wrote in with this complaint. And I remember thinking about it, I'm going, yeah, hold on a second. And I went home and I checked out my PlayStation Plus titles that I purchased. I was like, hold on, I cannot purchase this if I don't have... If I run out of PlayStation Plus and I don't resubscribe, I can't purchase this outside of my subscription.
Yep.
Very...
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Shady.
Just dumb.
Yeah.
Like, just a fun, like a big whiff from them. Like, how do you miss that?
I don't know, man. It's a bit of a weird one. Padge,
but it's fixed.
What's that?
So that's great. But it's fixed, so that's great.
Thank God. The following comes by way of Shannon over at Press Start, who says Fall Guys has already sold 2 million copies on Steam. A week after releasing Fall Guys, is already one of the biggest success stories of the year. Publisher Devolver Digital has announced that the game has sold 2 million copies on Steam, which is pretty damn impressive given the fact that it released less than a week ago and comes in at a $30 price tag on Steam. While it is free for PlayStation Plus users, the game has server. Come on, Shannon. the game.
Oh, yeah, I see.
The game has had server issues since its launch last Tuesday, but this is a lot more. I'm going to start compiling.
As we speak right now, it's having issues too, because I've gotten angry messages from my wife saying, I can't access the game. I'm like, sorry, it's too popular.
Shannon gave it a 9 out of 10 on press start. Padge, give me your thoughts on Fall Guys quickly, because
I adore this game.
it hasn't got me yet.
I've hated battle royales up to now, and this is just the right sort of battle royale. I know, like, I'm painting very general when I call it a battle royale, but it is. I've had a few wins. I'm like just making it my job to just beat people into submission when I'm playing this. I'm getting trolled by a few people. That gives me the shits. I've had someone grab me and stop me from winning as a result. Arsehole. But no, I mean, it's got so much personality. It's instantly accessible. It's just really casual fun. You can just toss the control to whoever and they just understand it straight away. Mastery is not that far away, really. And I've started working out with certain levels and certain things, especially the non-team based stuff.
Yeah.
Some critical paths, some optimal paths to follow, so I can get to that crown faster than anyone else. I'm killing it. I love this game.
It's all right.
I just can't get enough of it.
Look, I played a couple of sessions with Betson last week. I thought it was fine. I don't know if it's something that will be long-term title. I think it's just got its hype around it right now, and a lot of people are loving it. But I believe that its popularity may wane.
I will give you that.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to keep it going, because it's not. Oh, then again, you could argue the same about Fortnite and those sorts of things, in that they're really not changing that much. I get they have new seasons, but the core moment to moment isn't changing.
It's different genres, though, dude.
Oh, no, different genres. But then, like, if I transfer that logic over here, what we are getting every 5 minutes is a different experience.
I don't know.
There's the same 25 that become in a rotation or whatever, and I swear there's not 25, but they say there are, so I'll take them at their word.
I think it's popular.
I just hope that we see, with new seasons that start to emerge, because there's 2 months, I think, per season, I think, if I remember what I saw.
Yeah.
I hope that they are busily working on other little mini games to play. Take a look at what Mario Party's done over the journey. See if there's any ideas there that you can kind of build upon that could work with a 1v59 sort of model.
You don't think that
I think that's what this game needs. Not if they start if they can find new games to add, and don't, when they next do it, don't drop 10 of them on us, because then the well is going to run dry very quickly. But, if they drop 2 or 3 new things, or they start rotating things in and out, because 25, I'd probably argue, is too many. If there are, in fact, 25 there, I'm not even seeing them all.
I don't know, man.
So take a few out, maybe drop it to 15, rotate the same 15 for now.
Yeah.
Then bring 5 in, take 5 out, introduce a few new ones along the way, and then you're constantly kind of revitalizing the experience. You're giving people something different. People are excited to see what modes or what levels, what games are being introduced with the new season or in the next month or whatever the case is. That way they're changing it up, and that will keep people on board. That'll keep me on board, because I'll be, oh shit, great. What is it? Fall Mountain's back. Great. Perfect, because that's my best level when it comes to chasing down that crown at the end. Get rid of that hexagon bullshit. I hate it.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do to kind of keep people interested.
I don't know, man. I think I don't know how much they're going to be working on the title in terms of additional content, because it seems like they've put it out there and that'll be it for a little while, and then maybe when it hits PlayStation 5, like I said, we might see some additional content to boost its popularity and also kind of give it a fresh take. But I still believe it has an expiration date of how popular it will remain. And I think right now it's in its most popular phase until we actually see something give it that boost it needs, when it gets that time. Because I just think that games like this are a quick shot, and they're going to have a quick fix. And then just disappear. So
I can see it. I can see what you mean, but I'm quietly confident that they're going to be able to do enough. The only thing here is that they're a little indie team that have been completely overwhelmed by the popularity of the game, and does the whole process of getting the servers right and all those sorts of things, and presumably eventually porting it to Xbox, porting it to Switch, all that sort of stuff. Does that slow down that opportunity to add new games or do change things up or tweak the model a little bit? Like, if they can't keep going full steam ahead on that stuff, they might get to a point where people go, well, you haven't given me anything different now for 2-3 months. I'm out.
Yeah. Patch, saving the best for last. This story comes by way of Zach Jackson over at Well Played. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 delayed until 2021. If you were like me and looking forward to the release of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 later this year, then today's news of another delay would have you bummed out big time. Announced via the game's official social channels, the statement provided says that in order to deliver a worthy successor to the original development team, the original development team need more time. You can read the statement in the tweet below. The tweet is here. Today we have an important announcement in regards to the release date of Bloodlines 2. So we're moving, the initial tweet of it basically says that they are moving development to 2021. It's not a big surprise given the game hasn't had the smoothest development period, with the game already being delayed a number of times already. And in hindsight, with the new console generation on the horizon and a number of high-profile games still to come this year, perhaps it's for the best that VTBM2 slinks off into the darkness of 2020 and reappears a more polished product.
As a next-gen game.
Yeah, exactly. Not an Xbox 360 game.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was an ugly title when it was initially revealed to the public via that trailer shown on the Xbox presentation that time with, a lack of webcams and Blue Yetis to...
Yeah, that was an experience.
That was a rough one. But look, I think this is a good... it's great to invest some time in kind of delaying this title because it desperately needs an injection in the arm to kind of boost its graphical fidelity, because it is a terrible looking game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the game could be awesome mechanically. It could, but it's just they're trying to, and they're trying to take advantage of next gen hype, and Xbox were trying to take advantage of them a little bit too. But this just wasn't the right pairing. This wasn't the way to premiere your game and suggest that it's in any way, shape, or form a showpiece for what the next generation can be.
Oh.
Not every game needs to be a horizon in terms of its visual style, or just sheer fidelity. But this, holy shit!
I remember when it was revealed, the first thing that came to my mind, and I tweeted it, was optimized for Xbox 360. And even Kieran from Well Played even agreed with me because it just looked like garbo.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, how could you seriously? I even thought to myself, how could you seriously sit there and look at this trailer and go, man, who's developing this, and why is it on PlayStation 3?
Yeah.
It was just, it's just rough, man. And I'm glad that they're actually, saying, let's step this back, because there's going to be games that are coming out this year that'll look 10 times better. Why are we releasing this crap?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if COVID didn't play a little factor as well. But it probably did. Yeah. But also, you got to recognise, your game looks balls and you need to fix that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Patch, time for the PlayStation pick. This week, you've already kind of revealed what it was, but please do tell us what your PlayStation pick is this week.
Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch, PS3 game, also available on PS4. Is this the most recent game that I've brought for the PlayStation pick so far? It might be, because I'm doing this thing justice, unlike you, good sir. But no, look, I mean, and we kind of spoke about it before when I was talking about Temtem in the news. PlayStation really kind of needed a Pokemon-y style sort of experience in some ways. Now, This is not 100% that, but I mean, you paired up Studio Ghibli with Level 5, exclusive on PlayStation. It's got a fantastic story. It's implementing some Pokemon mechanics, visual style, unbelievable. It just ticked all the right boxes for me personally, but also a lot of others. This is a game that just, I don't know, how did it, you played it back in the day, I assume. You didn't come late to the party. What did you think of it when you first played it?
Dude, I thought it was incredible. Being a fan of Studio Ghibli, of course, as well. I remember picking this game up on launch day, and I still have my launch copy up in that cupboard there.
Yeah, mine's somewhere around here.
This is one of my favorites of all time, one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. The way that the gameplay structure, the gameplay loop, its structure, battle mechanics, its narrative was... Man, its narrative. It was I've got some footage up on the screen right now. It
hits hard.
Oh,
obviously
dude,
early on.
Yeah, emotionally.
Can we spoil? We've gone far enough. It's far enough removed, right?
Yeah.
Can we spoil?
Oh, yeah.
Like the mum death at the beginning there. Like that's a real kick to the teeth.
It is one of the most emotionally impactful titles I've ever played. And I was lucky enough to be privileged of getting to replay it earlier. I think it was earlier this year when it was last year. It was last year. Yeah,
no, maybe
mid last year. Where Bandai offered me a review code to sit down and play the title on PS4, and it's incredible on PS4, just as it was on PS3.
I want to find time to go back and play it on PS4 again.
Yeah. Have you played? A question for you. You know that like it's actually a remaster for a 3DS title, yeah?
Oh yeah. No, it was. I mean, it was born and bred on the DS.
DS.
And then the PS3 version wasn't totally a remaster because mechanically a lot changed.
Yeah.
And certainly the visual style just exploded with what they could do. Like
Correct.
These two were developed in synchronicity to an extent. The DS version did come out well beforehand, and the PS3 version still needed time. And then got the Western version. That's the only version that we got here officially in the West. We didn't get the DS version there. Would have been nice to see what that was all, how that panned out in the end.
Yeah.
But the internet will answer that for me at some point, I'm sure. It's got so much heart. I just love that game. It's just big personality, big heart, plays like a dream, and it's adorable. Like I can't get enough of it. And I really hope Revenant Kingdom, so the sequel, was great in a different way, and I think it did lack that heart that the original game had. It didn't emotionally smack you between the eyes in the same way. They tried.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as impactful, maybe because they'd already been there and done it once.
Yeah.
Maybe it was lacking a little bit because you didn't have Ghibli working on it again this time. Like you had Level 5 trying to replicate that art style, but they're just not the experts that Ghibli are. I'd love to see a third game, and hopefully you can get those two partnering up together again. That'd be brilliant.
We probably will. I remember picking up the set.
I reckon we will.
The sequel. I got the big box edition as well, but I never really opened it. Because I got offered the code and I was like, I just want the box because what's inside the box is great. They have the vinyl, they have
the music box.
Yeah, they have the music box. So it remains up in my collection unopened, like most of my collector's editions these days. When I remember picking this up on the PlayStation 3, the original. And the immediate draw that I had to it was essentially its art style being from Studio Ghibli. And if anything else, the experience was a plus. I had heard great things about the title previously for it on its Nintendo DS rendition, Dominion of the Dark Djinn, I think it was called on there.
Yeah, that's it. That's perfect.
So I think, if anything, and I have some footage up on the screen right now of the DS version, I think if anything, like when it was sold on the DS and the amount of hype that came out of Japan for it, I could not pass up the essentially what a reimagined experience would have been on the PlayStation 3 with Ghibli heading it as well. What made you draw, like what was drawn to you for wanting to experience this title?
In the first place?
Yep.
The Pokemon, the JRPGs, the Level 5, and then you add that art, which I wasn't like...
You're not a
I hang shit on... No, I'm not a weeb, but at the same time, I love Ghibli's art style.
Yeah.
And I still do want to go and kind of check out their actual works in the past. Not because, again, not a weeb, but I appreciate what that is that they've done.
Yeah.
And I also don't know that it necessarily falls quite in the same box that all the other shit that I hang on you does. I do feel like they're still slightly two different spheres, even though we can bundle them all under the weeb heading.
I get you.
I like the style that they go for. I like the way they try and tell their stories. So I want to explore more of it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
No, that's fair enough.
And it was just this confluence of all these things coming together that I just adored. And so made it a day one buy, and no regrets.
Awesome.
PlayStation.
All right, Padge, it's time for the PlayStation Operation My Go this week. And I thought, to tie it in with what I've experienced in the last fortnight with Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, PlayStation needs to bring more of their PlayStation 4 established classics, I'll put it that way, onto PC now because it's not going to sell. They're not going to sell any more copies of Horizon on PS4 now. And trying to attract an audience over to PlayStation 5, this has obviously been a great way to establish a new audience for the Horizon franchise and entice people and allure them in purchasing a PlayStation 5 at launch to play Horizon Forbidden West.
It's a good marketing ploy.
Oh, yeah. And there is potential to release established ports again. Once again, they could re-release The Last of Us Remastered on PC and say, hey, Last of Us Part 2, it was for PlayStation 4, but it's also backwards compatible with PlayStation 5. And you can buy your PlayStation 5 and play it and Forbidden West. So it's one of those things right now where this is a great marketing strategy that Sony should implement or PlayStation should implement.
100%.
And I hope that we're going to be seeing a lot more PC ports in the future. I'm really, really hoping.
So where do they draw the line?
Oh, yeah.
Where do they draw the line? What is the... like? I could see, for example, Infamous Second Son. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But is God of War or Spider-Man in that window now?
Yes.
And Spider-Man's probably the best one to ask about because we already have the sequel, so it is kind of in or coming. So we do have that Horizon comparison that we can make there. Does Marvel Spider-Man come to PC?
Yes.
Should it?
Yes.
Will it?
No.
Okay, so why is that different to Horizon then?
Okay, so...
Because it's not a license issue, because if PlayStation wants to do it, they can do it.
Well, it's going to be hard because they've got to go through Disney.
Oh yeah, but Disney's going to say you've already made an exceptional title and you're going to make us more money for it. You want to sacrifice a little bit of your established link, between PlayStation, but that's not our business. We just want to sell copies of the game. We want to make money. We want to make sure that our IPs are being used in the right way, that represent them well. You've already done that, so what's the harm?
Yeah, well, there's that, but there's also the fact that it's a corporate thing, the contract negotiations and all that kind of stuff. If it was as simple as that, then it would have been like, hey, let's have a conversation about putting Spider-Man on PC. Let's do it tomorrow. And it's like, I can see why Sony wouldn't want to invest time or money into kind of porting a lot of games over. And there's going to be those potential conversations with companies such as Naughty Dog, who will obviously be approached for titles to be ported to PC. I could see Sony going, let's have a discussion with Naughty Dog about, releasing Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection on PC. So that people buy Uncharted 4 A Thief's End on their potential PS5.
I think it all is a marketing thing. So again, I think Spider-Man could get that treatment because it's a similar situation to Horizon. They're using the PC release to promote the upcoming console exclusive sequel.
Yep.
So something like Uncharted 4, for example, and the collection, I don't see that popping up, and also Lost Legacy. I don't see those popping up on PC unless they've got an Uncharted 5 or the next Uncharted title to promote.
I see God of War popping up on PC, and the reason I say that is because somebody that you still have not messaged, for the love of God, send him a message, Paul. Corey Barlog, a cool dude, right, who would be all for seeing that game end up on PC for more players to experience.
He's as unbiased as they come.
Yep.
But again, I think that'll happen,
yep.
But not until they've got God of War 2 or whatever they call it. Ragnarok, who knows? Well, I mean, it's the right setting.
Yeah.
Probably not going to, not with what Assassin's Creed's doing, but with Valhalla and all that.
Yeah.
But not until they've got something to promote and for them to turn around and say, but you can enjoy God of War now, but you want to come to PlayStation to play the sequel.
Question about God of War, and I know we're kind of deviating from the segment here a little bit. What is... spoilers, and again, spoiler, I guess, for the ending of God of War.
We've spoiled Ni no Kuni and Last of Us so far.
Do you think that there needs to be a discussion on the intellectual properties of Thor for God of War sequel?
No.
How come? I know that because in Greek mythology, blah, 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 blah.
But Norse mythology, but yeah.
Yeah, but do you think that overtakes Thor?
100%.
Okay.
They're not using Marvel's Thor.
Okay.
They're using history, and you can't.
Well, hold on a second, because the interpretation that they used at the end of God of War almost ties it in.
Oh yeah, but I mean, he's meant to,
He's the god of thunder,
admittedly
but
limited.
still...
He's god of thunder, so they can kind of, and they didn't show a giant Thor's hammer, did they? But I think even history wise, doesn't he wield a giant hammer anyway?
Yes.
Like so again, they can lean into that. It's then how you make the character look and the way they speak and the way they conduct themselves and whether they reference Iron Man or not. That's kind of where you want to make sure you're towing the right lines.
Yeah, so it'd be more the Greek mythology of Thor than I guess
they've clearly got the relationship with Marvel as well. Like, be transparent with them. Hey, we're looking to use this character. We're trying to be really respectful to make sure that we don't edge in any way, shape, or form near your representation of the character. But again, we're going to see Thor in some way, shape, or form with Valhalla as well. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure.
With Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
So it's the Wild West. They can do it.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, anyway, getting back to the original conversation, God of War would definitely be something I'd say on PC. Infamous Second Son, like you said. I could see them even saying, let's try and do an Infamous collection on PC with all of them there. That would be fantastic.
Just give me a sequel, fuck.
Man, I really didn't understand why they didn't release an Infamous Legacy collection for this generation. It would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be interesting to see what they would, if they will, and I'm fingers crossed. I reckon they will. With the success of Horizon, there is no doubt that PlayStation will now be looking to port more games to PC this coming gen. All right, Padge, it is time for the drop. So what if Sony... let's ask the big question. Have PlayStation provided a drop?
I don't know. I didn't even bother to check. But I've given up on it at this point. Hang on. PlayStation, the drop. I've compiled a list in the meantime.
I can see that.
So I'll quickly double check.
You're going to do a quick Google.
I'm doing it as we speak. PlayStation, the drop, the last one, still features
June
Star
19th.
Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer. So no. So we're going back to the list that I've compiled where there is only three games of any sort of note, and none of these I actually care about myself. There's Hyperscape available now. That is Ubisoft's Battle Royale they announced recently at their Ubisoft Forward. Yep. It's out now for consoles. It's already out on PC, but it's out for consoles. UFC 4, August 14, that's this week. And Mortal Shell, which is a Souls-inspired title.
Yep.
That's out August 18th.
Fantastic.
That's it.
That's the drop.
This week, this fortnight is shithouse.
Jesus
Next fortnight, I've looked ahead. There's a couple of cool things in the next fortnight.
What's in the next fortnight?
So
we're talking about...
Huh?
Even though we're going to say it in the next fortnight.
We'll double down on it again when the time comes. But there's Windbound.
Okay.
There's Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, if you want to kind of go back to that.
I'm interested.
Wasteland 3, admittedly developed by Xbox these days, but it's still got to come to PlayStation for all partnerships and stuff. And then we're also in that window where Avengers is also in that subsequent fortnight as well. So
fantastic.
So there's enough coming up. We've just got to get through this next 2 weeks.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting couple of weeks, I guess. Like as I said, we're wrapping up this generation now, and we're heading towards Christmas time. We're in August now. Next week will be freaking November. So it's definitely going to be an interesting time as we wrap up the end of the year. Cyberpunk and Avengers obviously being the big two to wrap it up, but I think. I'm not looking forward to Avengers at all, but Cyberpunk, I'm kind of
Give it a go, man. Put your hand up for it. Put a hand up for a review code. Jump in with myself and Bets.
I did. And
Max.
We
had a great time playing the other night.
I've already spoken to the people at Bandai, so there is going to be a review on Dash Gamer, so there you go. Guys, if you didn't know, this has been Operation PlayStation, DashGamer.com's dedicated PlayStation podcast, where we dive deep and dirty and discover what the latest and greatest PlayStation have to offer. You can follow Mr. Paul James on Twitter at Paul James Games. You can follow myself on Twitter at DashGamer. Don't forget to follow the show over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. Give us those cheeky 5-star ratings. They surely help us out. And also catch the VOD on DashGamer.com and on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that bell, give us a like. Surely helps us out. Leave a comment. Give us a little bit of feedback. And we'll always take that on board. Padge, great ep.
Also, we just spoke about it earlier in the episode, can you please just remind Dash, point out to him that he is in fact the minority when it comes to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order?
Sure thing.
Holy shit.
Sure thing. Guys, we'll catch you in a couple of weeks with our next episode of Operation PlayStation. I'll be back with this guy, actually. We'll be back next week as well for Dash Gamer Podcast, so make sure you catch us then.
I'm not in the next rotation.
Oh wait, you're not in the next.
I'm still
sorry, it's Betson and Joel
not till September.
Yeah. Sorry. I've completely gone way too forward here. Oh my god. Guys, I'll catch you guys in a couple of weeks with patch for Operation PlayStation episode 16, but until then, this operation is complete.
DashGamer.com